pack of mints sitting in your fridge right now. The one you chucked in the trolley at Woolies last Thursday without blinking. Guess what? It's halal certified. So is the lamb. So are the snags. Virtually every cut of beef on every shelf in every major supermarket in this country has been quietly switched over to comply with Islamic slaughter law. Nobody asked you. Nobody slapped a label on the front. The IMARC Group valued Australia's halal food market at $14 billion this year. By 2034, $26 billion. An entire supply chain redesigned, paddock to plate, around a religious minority that makes up under 4% of this country. And you've been funding it at the checkout every single week without knowing. This is how it always starts. Because this exact playbook, it's already being pressure tested overseas. And what's unfolding in Japan right now, that's where this story gets properly ugly. A woman, Muslim tourist, posts a video from Japan. She is furious. Absolutely fuming. Why? Because she couldn't find halal sushi. And then she drops this claim that the rice, the actual sushi rice, is boiled in something she calls pork water. Pork water. What the hell is pork water? But she's not just venting to her mates. She's got a mission. Looks straight into the camera and tells thousands of followers to boycott the entire country. Her exact words, "We should de-influence people from going to Japan." It's not that great. Now, on the surface, you might laugh this off. Random tourist, bad food experiences, move on. Yeah, that's what they want you to think. Here's where it stops being funny. Peer-reviewed academic research published through Atlantis Press in 2019 and the PMC in 2021 has documented this exact behavior pattern among halal tourists in Japan. Repeated complaints about sushi preparation. Repeated outrage over so-called pork water. And here's the kicker. These studies found that Muslim travelers are willing to pay 1.4 to 1.7 times more for halal-certified food. They're not broke backpackers making do with convenience store onigiri. They are leveraging their spending power as a weapon, using boycotts as a documented strategy of economic pressure to force traditional Japanese hospitality to change practices that have existed for centuries. So this woman on TikTok, she's running a textbook economic pressure campaign, the kind academics have literally written papers about. She probably doesn't even realize she's doing it. That's how embedded the playbook is. And here's my blunt take. Japan has been making sushi for longer than most modern nations have existed. Their food culture is not a suggestion box. If you fly to a country and you can't handle what that country fundamentally is, its food, its customs, its traditions, then don't bloody go. Nobody dragged you onto that plane. That's just basic respect for someone else's home. Japan, to their credit, largely told them to get stuffed. They didn't bend. They didn't rush to certify every rice cooker in Osaka. But guess what happens when the same pressure campaign hits a culture that's already been trained to apologize? A place where accommodation is practically the national reflex, where the working class are the ones who pay the price first. Weatherspoons. If you're not British, let me paint you the picture. Sticky carpets that haven't been replaced since Thatcher. Fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look slightly hungover. Pints for £3.50. Blokes arguing about football at 9 in the morning. It's not fancy. It's not trying to be. It is the living room of the British working class, the one place where nobody pretends to be anything they're not. So, a man walks in, camera already rolling on his phone. He's not there for a pint. He's not there for the banter. He walks straight up to the counter and, with a completely straight face, asks the staff, "Do you do a desi breakfast?" A desi breakfast at a Weatherspoons. Then he doubles down. "Could I get like masala beans with it?" The staff just stare. Because what do you even say to that? This is a place where the most exotic item on the menu is a side of mushrooms. But the moment that genuinely got me, they offer him a cup of tea. Standard English breakfast tea. The backbone of British hospitality for centuries. And this bloke holds up the tea bag like it's a dead cockroach. Scoffs at it on camera. Just a tea bag. Put a little water in it. Just a tea bag. Someone hands you the most basic gesture of welcome their culture has. A cuppa. And you hold it up to your phone like it's beneath you. A food preference? Mate, That's contempt. Filmed, packaged contempt for the place you just walked into. And my analyst brain won't let this go. Because this man knew exactly what a Wetherspoons is. He had his camera rolling before he opened his mouth. The whole performance was staged, a manufactured conflict designed to go viral. Designed to frame the staff as unreasonable for not bending their entire menu around one person's demands. Same playbook we saw in Japan, one critical difference. In Japan, they got told no. In Britain, the apology reflex kicks in, the staff fumble, the internet piles on, and suddenly a working-class pub is being shamed online for serving English food in England. You see how this works? Walk into someone's house, demand they cook your meal, mock what they offer you, film the whole thing, then play the victim when they can't accommodate you. Forget the breakfast. This whole thing is a boundary test, and the boundary just moved. But what kept me up? Pubs. You can walk out of a pub. What happens when this same energy steps into a space you can't just leave? A 1,000-year-old public bathhouse in the heart of Europe, where the demands aren't about what's on the menu anymore, but what's allowed on your body. Budapest. Széchenyi baths, steam curling off turquoise water framed by golden Baroque columns that have stood since 1913. Locals soaking in mineral pools their grandparents soaked in, their great-grandparents soaked in. A place so deeply Hungarian it practically bleeds paprika. And someone's filming a complaint video, right there, standing poolside with a phone out, absolutely furious because they weren't allowed to wear full-body conservative Islamic swimwear into the natural pools. Let that land for a second. A tourist visiting someone else's 1,000-year-old cultural institution in the heart of their capital city. And they're not marveling at the architecture. They're not grateful for the experience. They're outraged that this place won't reshape its centuries-old bathing traditions to accommodate their religious dress code. But wait, it gets better. Same video, same person. You know what else they're furious about? There are no mosques nearby. In Budapest, in Hungary, a country that's been Christian since the year 1000 AD. The complaint isn't just change your pool rules for me. It's where is my entire religious infrastructure in your country? You see what just happened? We jumped from I want different food on your menu to I want to cover my entire body in your sacred water to why haven't you built me a mosque yet? 3 demands, each one bolder than the last, each one treating someone else's home like it's already theirs. And here's the part that makes my blood boil. When Hungary says no, and thank God they still do, what happens? Discrimination. That word gets weaponized faster than you can blink. The host country draws a line in its own home, and suddenly they're the villain. Suddenly they're the ones who need to apologize. I'm going to say what you're thinking, because someone has to. If you want halal food and prayer spaces and to float around the pool looking like a bin bag, yeah, I said it. Go to Saudi Arabia. You'll be surrounded by other bin bags, like a garbage dump exploded near the ocean. Harsh? Maybe. But I am done pretending politeness is a strategy when politeness is exactly what's getting us colonized in slow motion. Every time we bite our tongue, the line moves. Every single time. And look, if you're sitting there right now thinking, well, Sarah, that's Hungary. That's Europe. Thank God that madness stays over there. Pull up a map of Western Sydney. Type in Lakemba. Type in Bankstown. Tell me what you see. Because, mate, it's not over there. It's already on your front lawn. And the numbers are worse than you think. 61%. No, that's the number. The 2021 ABS census. Not some fringe blog, not some Reddit conspiracy thread. The Australian Bureau of Statistics confirmed that Lakemba, a suburb in the heart of Sydney, is now approximately 61% Muslim. 61. In a country that was, within living memory, overwhelmingly Anglo-Christian. That's not a multicultural neighborhood. That's a demographic takeover with a mathematical receipt. And you want to know what that takeover actually looks like when the numbers tip? There's footage from the UK, real footage. A Muslim man standing on a street, furious, demanding that a centuries-old British pub be shut down. Why? Because it happens to sit next to a mosque. His exact words, "At least respect the mush, bro. Respect. Have some respect." A pub that was there for hundreds of years, before the mosque, before him, before any of it. And he's standing there, on camera, telling the locals they need to close their doors. Out of respect. You hear that word a lot. Respect. Funny how it only ever flows one direction. Now bring that energy back to Sydney, because we don't have to imagine what comes next. We've already lived it. 1913, Bankstown, southwestern Sydney. A Jewish community scrapes together every pound it has and builds its first suburban synagogue. The first one outside the city centre. Families pooling wages, laying bricks by hand, hanging a front door that would stay open for decades. Kids had their bar mitzvahs in that building. Grandparents gathered there on holidays, the smell of candle wax and old timber soaked into the walls. For generations, that synagogue was the heartbeat of its street. Then, the immigration waves of the 1990s hit. Lebanese Muslim populations surged into southwestern Sydney. And slowly, then all at once, things shifted. The synagogue was firebombed. Not once. Targeted. Repeatedly. The congregation shrank. Families who'd been there for 80 years packed up. Moved away. And that 1913 building, that piece of Sydney's actual history, was erased from the map. Not by flood, not by bankruptcy, by displacement, by intimidation, by the exact same playbook we keep pretending doesn't exist. And here's what guts me. Nobody talks about it. You won't find a memorial plaque. You won't see a documentary on the ABC. An entire community's heritage wiped from a Sydney suburb, and the national conversation just moved on, because acknowledging it would crack the story they need you to believe. Mate, I guarantee you've seen it too. A pub that quietly changed its rules, a local shop that shuttered with no explanation, a street corner you grew up with that just feels different now. Drop a comment below with what's changed in your suburb, because they want you to think you're the only one noticing it. You're not. So if this is the trajectory, if the data says Lakemba is gone, Bankstown's heritage is literally ashes, and your suburb could be next, is there anything that actually works? Is there a single country on Earth that looked at this pattern, understood exactly what it was, and said, no, there is. And the data behind it is rock solid. Poland, 38 million people, faced the exact same migration pressure every Western nation did, and flatly refused. No cultural accommodations, no demographic overhaul, no apology tour. Here's what happened next. The 2025 OECD Economic Survey reports Poland posted 6% GDP growth, fourth highest in the entire European Union. Real GDP per capita surged from roughly 50% of the EU 27 average to 80%. That's a nation on a rocket trajectory. Now hold those numbers and look at the other side of the ledger. The UK, poster child for multicultural integration, is watching its pubs shut down under demographic pressure. Australia watched a 1913 synagogue in Bankstown get physically erased from the map. High immigration nations hemorrhaging social cohesion in real time. And Poland, the country Western media loves to call backward and xenophobic, is outperforming every single one of them on a spreadsheet. This is usually where someone chimes in with the classic line, Western economies mathematically need mass immigration to survive. The IMF and OECD say otherwise. Their data, from the OECD Economic Survey's Poland 2025 and IMF Selected Issues report, shows Poland achieved this growth by maintaining a strong business environment and deliberately avoiding the integration strains that are bleeding countries like the UK and Australia dry. The OECD explicitly attributes Poland's performance to high social trust, the exact resource that erodes when you import populations with fundamentally incompatible value systems at scale. So here's what the numbers actually say. Refusing mass migration from incompatible demographics didn't tank Poland's economy. It supercharged it. High social trust, secular civic norms, zero tolerance for cultural blackmail. That formula works. Every GDP percentage point confirms it. The spreadsheet doesn't care about anyone's feelings, but knowing the data is only half the battle, because the playbook being deployed against Western nations right now operates on a completely different level. psychological. And unless you understand exactly how that pressure campaign works inside your own mind, all the Polish GDP charts in the world won't be enough to protect what you have. Here's how it works. Every single case we've walked through tonight, the $26 billion halal supply chain hiding in your supermarket meat aisle, the coordinated complaint campaigns that brought Japanese resorts and British swimming pools to their knees, the suburb-by-suburb demographic takeover across Western Sydney, every one of them follows the exact same psychological script. Ask for a small accommodation. Frame anyone who pushes back as a bigot. Repeat. Expand. Claim more territory. And here's the part most people won't say out loud. So I will. The word Islam doesn't translate to peace. It doesn't translate to coexistence. It literally translates to submission. That's the dictionary definition. And once you understand that, every accommodation you've watched unfold in this video stops looking like tolerance and starts looking like a test. A test to see how far you'll bend before you break. The good news? You don't have to break. Poland proved it. A nation can say no. No to rewriting your food supply chain. No to segregating your public facilities. No to handing over planning approvals for a single demographic. And what happened? 3.6% GDP growth. Social trust intact. Kids inheriting the same country their parents built. The only thing standing between the Australia you recognize and the one you won't is a single word. No. Not angry. Not violent. Just no. We don't change the rules for anyone. So if this video made you think, even for a second, that maybe you've been too quiet for too long, you're not alone. I'm going to keep pulling back the curtain on the stuff nobody else will touch. Hit subscribe. I'd rather have you in the room when I do.